All right, I'm now speaking with Dan Hill, who is Peter and Paul's Men's Shelter Assistant Director, and I've asked him to bring us up to speed on Compass Rosie and what it does. Welcome to Urban City, USA, Dan.
How's it going, Dre? All
Pretty
right.
good.
So, Compass Rose is the replacement to Rosie. Rosie, from about 1990 on, was the database that was used to track arrivals and exits from different shelters in the St. Louis City and County continuum, and Compass Rose is the replacement. It's a little more sophisticated, a lot more case management. You can put in a lot more information, and it's a lot easier to access. There's information about insurance, mental illness, substance abuse, income, disability status, chronic homelessness, and all of these things are tracked the very first time that somebody comes into the shelter, and it's updated every time. And you can also add case notes as a way to track people's progress in achieving their goals. So basically, it's the same thing as Rosie, with a whole lot more detail and a whole lot more tools to do what we want to do.
That's great. Can you tell our listeners a little the continuum of care and what it is, and who not? I know we don't have time to list all the members on the
Sure.
website, directing people to the Continuum website where they can see all the agencies that are involved. Can you tell them a little something more about the collaborative between all the agencies that form the Continuum?
Sure. So there's two Peter and Paul works with here. We work with the St. Louis City and the St. Louis County Continuums of Care. And a continuum of care is a collection of agencies headed up by a particular county. And these agencies work to serve the homeless who are located or within that particular county. Some of the agencies that are in the continuum for the city and the county would be, which is a women's shelter and transitional housing program, Gateway 180, the Bridge, or Centenary Cares, and a few dozen others. St. Patrick's Center, obviously. And most recently, BJC Behavioral Health for people.
Could you tell us a little more about what usually makes the community homelessness in the city of St. Louis? Pretty much, the substance abuse.
Sure.
Can you tell us the categories of the homeless individual?
Sure. So like who does the shelter serve, as far as like the different populations that we serve? Here in the shelter, I'd say about 50 to 60% of the guys here have or still have struggles with use. About a third have been convicted of a crime and sent to prison. Actually, the vast majority have a diploma or less. We have a few guys with college experience, but that certainly isn't the majority. 10% are veterans. About 1 in 8, give or take, are on disability. So about 15%. About another 15% on their shelter have income, but only about a third of the guys that come here have any source of income whatsoever when they come in.
In your opinion and your experience, what is the turnaround rate, for some of the guys, into the shelter? I know it's a 90-day program. What is the percentage of the guys that return?
It's a hard thing to track. If you had to split the shelter into 3 main groups, about 1 in 3 of the guys never comes back to the shelter. Another 1 in 3 might be homeless but never come back to the shelter. And another 1 in 3 is going to be in and out of Peter and Paul about every 3 or 4 months. If you had to break it in roughly. One thing that we are trying to get better at, and it's difficult, is finding out where people go when they do. In Compass Rose, when I exit people from the shelter, 90+% of the time I mark destined unknown. In many cases, people never even come back to collect their belongings. We end up having to after a certain amount of time. So we really don't know where people go immediately when they leave the shelter. And that's one thing that we're really improve on, is finding out where people go. We've come a long way in that, actually, now that we have full staff of case housing somebody, or finding out that somebody is housed about every 3 or 4 days. We're getting somebody housed.
Wow, management. I understand that's a new approach for what's going on at Peter and Paul's shelter. I don't know about any else, but can you elaborate a little bit on the recent success that you had implement management into your system?
I can. So about a year ago, we hired our first case manager, and the idea was for him to work with every single person in the shelter, full-time position. What we found was that because we're open in the evenings, it's very difficult to meet with 60 people when you've really just got a narrow window of hours in the evening. So now we have 3 part-time case managers who focus very intently between about 6 p.m. and 9:30 p.m. to meet with people. They each meet with 20 different people, and they track with them and gather detailed information, give specific referrals, and help them get connected to the right resources. It makes a lot more sense to have 3 people as opposed to 1, because now we're able to do the work that we're able to do before. And Compass Rose has helped with that. We are able to track more detailed information. We are able to even track goals and people's progress toward reaching their goals, whether that's getting a job, getting insurance, ability, or getting a Shelter Plus Care voucher, housing voucher, whatever the case might be.
I've had Tom earlier, the director of the shelter, and I asked him, to elaborate a little bit on what's going on with New Life Center's impending closing and extensions or whatever. You care to add anything to that?
Well, the city opened a new shelter. Well, not a new shelter. They used the 12th and Park Rec Center location April 12th for 125 beds year-round. They did that in the anticipation that New Life was going to close. At this point, the city's given New Life an extension, I believe, till October to comply with the 32-bed requirement. Now, New Life has filed for an injunction in federal court as far as where that's going to go, whether they're going to say, you have to comply with the 32-bed stipulation, or if they pass down a different stipulation or throw the whole thing out. Could be a long time in the making.
Okay. I know that Paul has a curfew of, their shelter has a curfew of 9 p.m. How late can guys get into the park shelter, and what do they need, to be able to be accepted into their shelter? Is it also a walk-in shelter, or would there be any case management going on, or any intakes done there?
Originally, it was supposed to be a walk-in shelter. The neighborhood association met with the director of human services, Eddie Roth, and discussed it and determined it was not going to be a walk-in shelter. So the way that people do get beds in there come through the bridge.
Okay.
You can also get in through the hotline, but the majority of the guys get in there through the bridge. So they're going to do some case management at the bridge, and then you can catch a bus from the bridge down to 12th and Park every single evening.
Great. The bridge that Dan is speaking on is a ministry outreach program at Centenary United Methodist Church, which is located in 10 Olive Street. And I understand that that's the pickup point for most people coming to that 12th and Park. Mm-hmm. Dan Hill, Assistant Director from Peter and Paul Community Services Men's Shelter. Man, I'd like to thank you. I know it's still morning. You've been up all night, so I ain't going to keep you. Thanks for stopping by the show, man, and I hope I can have you back again one day.
Sounds good.
Thank you.